Hey, what's going on, everybody? I've got great news. Great news. You've been asking. We finally have it coming for you. The podcast. When is the podcast coming? Text messages. Pastor Simmons, what happened to the podcast? Clients in the barbershop. Hey, I thought you were doing the podcast. Podcast is coming. So what you think? There's been many things that you want to know. What do I think about? I want to know what you think about it. Stay tuned. We're really, really close. Podcast.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tazz. Thank you once again for coming back and kicking it with us on the Intro Dallas podcast. Today's special guest is gospel recording artist Gabriel Ori. He is anointed and he is hella smart. He has degrees forever, and even his degrees have degrees that have degrees. But you can catch his new single this year. No, not like this year, 2021. Name of the single is called This Year. We'll get into that in the interview, but you can stream that right now wherever you listen to your music, wherever you get your music from. I appreciate you guys once again for coming back and kicking it with your boy, though. Whether you're listening to us on the podcast or you're watching us on our YouTube channel or on social media, I appreciate you guys for doing that. Speaking of, you can find us on Facebook, the Intro Dallas Podcast, or you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at SMG Officially. Do me a favor. Follow. Hey, so before we get into the interview, let me get you guys what's going on in entertainment news right fast. Let's talk about the one and only Miss Tamala Mann. Entertainment news. So, you know me. I love a good singer. If you can sing and take me somewhere special, and I think that goes for everybody. If you can sing and take your audience somewhere special, you will never ever lose. And there's one person that does it all the time. It's Tamala Mann. Let's talk about this new project. She has her new project is to be released Friday, August 6th, and it is entitled Overcomer. Tamala says, I poured my experiences into the lyrics, putting my heart and soul into the words on this album. It's me looking at my life and the things I was dealing with, trying to learn from those things and doing what I can to overcome them. The track list, the people that she's worked with and the featured artists on this project is ridiculous. So let's just talk about some individuals who were actually featured on this project. Of course, the one and only Kirk Franklin, Wyclef Jean, Todd Delaney, Travis Green, and the fellas. Look, this is going to be one of those projects that you need in your library. Wherever you download your music, wherever you stream your music, I need you to do me a favor. Friday, August 6th. I need you guys to stream or download Overcomer by Tamala Mann. For more information, of course, you can go to tamalamann.com. Now, without further ado, let's get into the interview. It's your boy Tazz. Let's go.
Take the quote that I said, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And whenever you wake up, that's the morning for you. It doesn't have to be bright and sunny. It could be a rainy night, dark, storming, but it could still be your morning.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tazz, and once again, you are listening to or you are watching the Intro Dallas podcast. Man, today is one of those situations where you just have to be in the right place at the right time to meet the right people. I have had the opportunity to meet a gifted, talented, anointed, and super smart man. Like, just looking at the bio, like, he has bachelors and the academies and all this stuff. He got degrees on everything, ladies and gentlemen. The one and only Mr. Gabriel Ori.
Tazz, Ori, man, just like Oreo cookie, just drop the O on the last part.
Love Oreo cookies too.
Yeah,
double
man,
stuffed is it.
How you feeling,
man? Welcome
brother?
to the show, man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Love it being here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, man. So just learning about you, first and foremost, let me tell you, the single that I got is Bananas.
Man, I really appreciate that, man, especially coming from you guys. Definitely always good to hear somebody like catching what you're trying to do.
I love your sound, and what's amazing about your sound is it's not something that everyone else does. And I think that's why it's going to be that effective, because a lot of the sound that we hear today has lost its oomph. So you come in with something different. I believe that you are about to make an impact on people that is going to be unbelievable, man.
And that's all I really want to do, is make that impact. That's what I'm here for, to make that impact and make that difference, give a fresh sound. That's what I'm here for.
Well, I'm a nosy one, man, so I did some research. I need answers, man. You learned your musical gift, or you acknowledged your musical gift at the age of 7. What happened at that time for you to be like, okay, God, this is what you have for me?
Well, I'm the son of pastors, so when I was born, I'm a PK. So I was born like literally on the musician stand. They just kicked me out right there. Yeah. And as a kid, just young, you like noise, and like every little kid that I know that I grew up with, we like the drums. So I gravitated to the drums at an early age 7. Yeah. And from there, I just picked up the guitar. That was my love. At the age of 9, at the age of 15, I got on the keys, and that was my thing. And because I could play guitar, I could play bass as well. So that's me. Man,
I envy people who can play guitar. I'm kind of like you. I've been in this church thing, musician and singing since I could talk. But like, I recently tried to pick up guitar, and I threw it down real fast because the tip of my fingers, I'm not made for that. I'm not built for that. I learned at an early age.
You gotta develop those muscles in the fingers, man.
And this, I learned to pick my battles.
I feel you.
So being involved in church at such an early age, how was it the growing up stage as opposed to friends and hanging out, or not being able to? Like, how did that go for you?
Well, like probably every PK, when you grow up in a household that you realize that you kind of like an extended representation of your parents, and they represent one thing, it puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on kids. And it's not like me having an awareness of that when I was young. It's the other people around me teasing me and saying, oh man, you can't do that, you can't be here. So what does that do for a person? A PK makes you curse the most, makes you try to get into the most things, makes you try to be the loudest, the most boisterous, the first one to do things. And so that's the kind of effect that it kind of had, on me. But thank God for my parents, who instilled some control, self-control in me. So yeah, that's kind of like what that, I was a little bit of shame, I guess, growing up of being a PK. But thank God I'm way over that, man.
So we about to have a whole bunch of PKs then. What's the one thing you learned that you would express to another PK about that experience?
I would say to always just be yourself. Everyone has a different personality. It's unique. That's what makes you who you are. And embrace that. That uniqueness separates you from all the clones, all the people who's trying to, because we try to submit to a culture or a style to make you fit in. And I'm telling you, being yourself makes you stand out from the crowd. So embrace that, embrace who you are.
Moving right along, man, you signed with an independent label in the early 90s. How did that it influence, and what did you learn back then that you still apply to what you're doing today?
Oh man, I would say it like this. I was a sponge when I was up in New Jersey. I got signed to an independent record company in New Jersey, and I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas. I was in the Army, and so I was in Texas. I love Texas, man. But
you wouldn't like it now. It's hot as heck, man.
It was hot when I was there, but I got signed, and I left the military for that. That was my dream, and what I learned up there, it was like, looking back at it, I was like a sponge. And how I'm applying it today, it's kind of like I soaked up everything that I learned, because I met famous people. I made beats for famous people. I learned the craft of, being a producer, and the business of how the music operated, at least at that time. Because, now and back then is two different worlds.
Yes.
Different worlds. But I learned that world then. And when I left New Jersey and came here, one thing that I was chasing the music and doing grinding and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. Long story short, God kind of took me away from that, and He said, "Listen, I got yes, you great with the music and things like that, but I have more for you, and you need to learn my word." Just like you know
Mm.
that music, you need to get into my word, and if you get into my word, then I'll bless you. So the reason why I say I was a sponge up there, because everything that I soaked up, I didn't understand at
Mm-hmm.
all. EQ, mixing, all that stuff. I'm in the studio with like Jay-Z's engineer, Young Guru, and I would sit there and ask questions and go back to our studio and try to play and experiment,
Yeah.
but just never understood it. As soon as I
Mm-hmm.
obeyed God and put the music to the side, told my manager, I'm not doing it anymore. This is what I'm doing. Instantly, it's like God took that lid off, and
Yeah.
I just understood. So I look at being in New Jersey and being in those studios and being around that environment atmosphere as a school,
Yeah.
and I soaked it up. And so to this day, I still kind of ooze that out of me.
Yeah. One thing you said that I think is very important for just music artists in general in any genre is knowing the business and not just saying I'm going to get on the microphone and just believe that this song is going to be hot and I'm going viral and make $1 million. What is the most important uh, business information? What is the first important business information you would give to new artists?
I would say you should study or go out and at least get the knowledge and understanding. Knowledge is just information, but understanding information. Like people have a hard time even knowing or understand what copyrights are, right?
Yes.
But I would say before you even go to try to put out a song, you don't have to, because back in the day when I was back in that time, it was kind of like everything was compartmentalized. All right, you're
Mm-hmm.
the artist. Don't focus on anything else but just being the
But
artist,
yes.
but the artist, right? So what that does, it boxes that person where they can't get anything any other world, because I look at those
Mm-hmm.
things as worlds, so they don't know anything that goes on in that world, the management world, or goes on in the business world, right? They only know their world, and yes, they become great in their world, but they become very ignorant. So when
Mm-hmm.
you having other people handle your stuff, you don't even know or understand what they're supposed to be doing, so they
Mm-hmm.
could be manipulating you, and you don't won't even know it. So I would say uh learn each world,
Yeah.
just a tad bit, the basics of that world. What is the basics of this world? You learn it first, so that way you can know when you do get to that point where you have managers and you have different
Mm-hmm.
people trying to represent you. You know the business of it, and you can say, "Yeah, no, that's helping me. No, that's not helping me. No, I want to do this." The artist has really you. You are the person. I look at the artist as the ship, right, on the water,
Yes.
and all the seagulls and the budgets and that's the lawyers, that's all the managers, they come flying around because the money ship is in the water. And so you
Mm-hmm.
need to know that not everybody's for you, but if you know your business and you learn that, you'll be so much better off, so much better off.
Definitely. And it keeps you to where you don't have to keep on praying and fasting and hoping God's sending you the right people because you're wondering why you're not making money like you're supposed to be.
Prayer does not transfer knowledge.
I need everybody to understand that I believe and trust God for everything, but there are some things that God just gave us good sense to have to understand and grasp by our own selves.
You have to you have to
Man.
prayer does not transfer any knowledge. Case in point, you have a car, the car operates, it's a combustible engine, it needs
Mm-hmm.
gasoline. So you can pray all day, but if you don't put gas in the tank,
You're
you
gonna be
ain't
on the
going
side of the
nowhere.
road. Not
Yes.
only are you the music guy, but you are a successfully married
Oh,
artist. How important a role, and I understand that as the Bible says, we are equally yoked. How important is it to have a wife who is as focused, not in just the music part of you, but the ministry part that the music brings?
is man, listen, that is the most important thing, because in a family situation it's not just you. And so before
Mm-hmm.
I was married, I would be like, yo, I'm grinding, right?
Yeah,
And so I'll stay up all night, trying to work on music, doing whatever I'm
yeah.
doing. But now when you have a wife there, right? That's another person. And so you have
Mm-hmm.
to divide your time. So a smart married man would sit with his queen and they will work out a schedule and agree on that schedule. And
Mm-hmm.
fellas, I mean, agree. So when your agreement says, "Hey, I'm going to cut it off at this time," cut it off at
Cut
that
it off at this time.
time.
Yeah.
Cut it off at that time. So nothing works in a relationship without agreement. So I believe the power of agreement could diffuse a lot of potential situations that could come up
Yeah.
because of that.
A lot of people, a lot of artists in industries that we don't even know is married because they feel like it would devalue
Damage.
who they are. How, what is one of the things that you saw God do for you musically after you got married?
Man, listen, my wife, I thought I was organized. My wife is very organized. So before I got with my wife, I was like a last minute person, right? And so
Yes.
I wouldn't really I would have the plan in my head, right? And sometimes I would write it down, but I wasn't disciplined enough to all the time follow that plan. My wife is such a orderly, organized woman, and
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of females are like that. They're very organized. So when you tell a female, "This is what I'm going to do," it's like the way God made them. They're like, "Oh, they're incubators." So it's like they incubate what you
Yes.
say. They give birth to it and they give it back to you. Hey,
Yes.
you said at this
You
time we're
gonna
going
do
to do it.
this at this
Why you
time? Make it
ain't
happen.
why you ain't doing it? So my wife has really kept me organized, and I think
Yeah.
that really catapulted me to the place where I need to be and where I'm at right now.
I
Thank God for my
commend
wife.
her. I commend her, but I commend you because we live in a day and time where most men be like, "Oh, I'm just married and she ain't whatever." But if we really understand and recognize what the Bible say, a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain favor,
Bruh,
man,
the
that's
favor that I
something.
got with her, man,
Yeah, man.
beautiful one. Shout out to my wife, Robin. Shout out.
So what I'm not gonna do is jack up the name of this single because I've played this out in my head over and over again. So I'm gonna let you say it, then I'm gonna ask a question.
So the name of the single is called "This Year," featuring Regina Skeeters. That's the name of the single. I think you're talking about the name of this album.
The project, yes.
Yeah, the name of the project is called Ecclesia. Ecclesia.
I'm from Mississippi, so then none of that stuff registered with me. Why is it and I understand that to you it's important to know the origin behind this name. Why is it important to understand the origin of that word meaning church?
Because the way we've been doing church is all wrong. And here's what
Mm-hmm.
I mean. We've developed a mentality and a mindset that the building we go to is the church, and that is not the church.
Mm-hmm.
You are the church. You
Mm-hmm.
are the ecclesia. Another way to say ecclesia is ecclesia.
That's
And
probably where my mind was right there.
that's another way to say it. I just choose to say it that way. Ecclesia, I like that way. I like that spelling too. I don't say ECC. I like the EKK.
Mm-hmm.
Ecclesia, the way they spelled it in the Greek, but it simply means church. It means the called out ones. It means the representation of the kingdom of God on earth. We have to be the ecclesia. The ecclesia is a government. It's not a building. So the church means government, governmental agency that represents the kingdom of God on earth. So if you represent God, then your opinions doesn't matter.
Yes.
Only what the kingdom says.
You
And that's
talking
why
like somebody who have a good degree in theology.
I got
Yeah,
a
buddy.
small
Just a small degree to know how to pronounce words that I still can't say. Okay, let's talk about the single this year with Regina Skeeters, man. How did this come about? What's the concept?
man, listen, man, that song was birthed at least 3 or 4 years ago, right? And everybody I talk to, they think that song came because of the pandemic.
It
It didn't.
sounds like very pandemic-ish.
But that's the power of God, my brother. So
Yes.
I have a whole project. My Ecclesia project is done. It's been done for years. But at the time, God would not allow me to release it. So I had
Mm-hmm.
to sit with this project and just sit for years. And so that song my girl Regina Skeeters was birthed because of fear. So think about the scripture that says, "Weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes
Joy
in
come
the
in the
morning."
morning.
So now we all know morning may not be the same for everyone, meaning the
Right.
timing of it, right? Morning can be someone at night. That could be their
Mm-hmm.
morning. That's when they're weeping. So that's when their joy can come. This year is the same conceptually. So and notice I didn't date it. I just said this year,
Mm-hmm.
whatever your year is, to come out of fear and to get everything that God has for you. That's what this song was birthed of. So this song's personal to me because if you listen to the hook, I'm like, hey, backwoods on the block this year, no more nine
Yeah.
to five on the clock this year. Because look, I'm on the clock, I'm on the 9 to 5. I want to get away from this systematic way of doing
Mm-hmm.
things and follow God in faith with what He's given me. But the fear there, right? So you resonate
Yeah.
with that. So this is like a declaration. This is like a prophetic faith declaration that say, look, this year, whenever your year is, this is the year that I'm going to do what God told me to do.
So it's funny that you would say that. I was on Twitter a couple days ago, and somebody posted, "I feel a urging in the spirit to just quit my job and trust God for everything." And I'm thinking to myself, "Negro, you about to be broken on the side of the road."
Better
So
with caution.
look, so knowing that you feel that this is as anointed and called for the season as it is, how did it feel knowing whenever this was complete that you still had to stay in the 9 to 5, the regular situation, but still at the same time believing, if I can get this to the right person, this can catapult me to somewhere I've never been before.
So let me say this. I am still in the 9 to 5, but let me tell you what happened between the waiting, like you're asking, to the time of finally
This
getting the
year.
releases. I grew
Mm-hmm.
mentally. I feel like God is a manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
So before any manufacturer puts their product out for
Mm-hmm.
distribution, for people to, oh, let me get this, he has to test it first.
Yeah.
So no manufacturer puts out a product before they test it. So the chair I'm sitting in, the chair you're sitting in has been tested. If they say, hey, 500 pounds can go in there, they got to throw 500 pounds on it to make sure that what they say it can do, it can do. So for me, in this waiting period, I feel like God mentally wanted to strengthen my mind, um, and ensure that I'm in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
If you follow what I'm saying,
Yeah.
ensure that I'm in it for His glory, for the way that He wants me to do it. I know money come. I know that all of that's going to come, but I
Mm-hmm.
have to make sure that I'm astute in the word and
Yes.
strong, because where I'm going, it's a lot of principalities there,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm prepared for that mountain.
That is okay, I feel like I've been talking to you for like years, because like you're saying things now that I've been trying to get out over and over again. How we always say, God, if you give me this right now and this is what I'm going to do, it's like God already know that real intention. It's like we try to pimp God and make a deal with him to make him give us stuff that he know we not ready for, but we think we
Yeah,
are.
yeah, you're right.
It's
You're right
amazing.
about that. Yep.
Who do you who is the targeted audience or the person that you want to this song to reach, and what is the biggest message you would want to get to them?
So this project Ecclesia, I know that it's going to start off in the church, in the body, in the four walls.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's going to start there, but it's my hope that it doesn't stay there.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to make an impact. So we know in the world right now, especially, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I feel like it's a reason why God wanted to squeeze me now, as me being that sponge. He wanted to
Mm-hmm.
squeeze some things out of me in this particular season, and for me, I just try to sit back and look around. Okay, what's going on? And you see the pandemic, you see the fear,
Mm-hmm.
you see even the principalities. I'll say it like that. The principalities at work. At least I see it. Um, and you just kind of look at this situation and like, man, what are we gonna do? And God is like, if my people who are called by my
Call
name.
by my name.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gabe, go. And
Yeah.
so I feel like this is going to start off in the church realm, but I wanted to reach, uh, I wanted to be able to reach the young folks,
Mm-hmm.
especially because they're the one who's coming up, this next generation. And thank God I have a son. I have a 20-year-old son, so I'm up on
Yes.
exactly what's popping right now, and the lingo, what
Yeah.
they talk about, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
it amazes me that the generation now has so much, but they are so ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'm like baffled by it. But I feel like I can be a bridge to the younger folks. Cause
Mm-hmm.
see, I'm not so old that I don't know, that side. And the older folks, I'm not so young where I can't relate to how it used to be. So it's like new wine, you know. Uh, but I want to be the translator because
I
Gabriel,
think
he's a communicator.
all day long. The one thing that will definitely help you in reaching both audiences, I love your look. And if my head wasn't so big, I would love this brown hat that you have on and this blue one, but I just can't find the right size to fit my head. How important
Funny
how
man.
important does your physical image or your look play into your artistry?
I look at it like this. We call Jesus is a king, right? He's a
Mm-hmm.
king. And if you know anything about kings, if you study kingdoms, kings compete. And what I mean by that, if you think about Solomon and all the things he had, the Bible talks of him as being one of the wisest men. And you had Queen Sheba, I think that was her name. She came through and she was looking, and as she entered into his kingdom, she was so baffled and so amazed because even the servants this guy had was better or dressed better and ate better and lived better than her whole squad. And
Yeah.
she was impressed by that. So image is very important. I know that sometimes, especially in the old wine, in the old
Yeah.
church, it's kind of like, hey, uh, God is gonna, use you, and He will use you, right? He'll use anybody. But I believe, just like Jesus, when they called him Jesus, Lord, and he said, "Who calling me Lord? I'm blind, blind." And you call me Lord because see, the word Lord means owner. I own you. So if I own you and you blind, that looks bad on me.
Yeah.
So
Ah.
image, image is very important to God because if we're saying I represent the King God and you can't even pay your mortgage, something must be wrong with your God. So if
Yeah.
you're looking at me and I'm saying serve God and I'm in down in the muck in the mud,
Mm-hmm.
then they're not going to want to
Ain't
serve the
nobody gonna
God I
want to
serve.
serve him. Yeah.
So I am not saying that if you are in a situation like that, God will not use you or God will not help you. I am simply saying that at the same time, God is a king, right? He's a God. Jesus is
Mm-hmm.
king. And he says he's the king of other kings.
Yeah.
So you're a king. So sit up straight. Put your crown on, man.
Yeah.
Take the dirt off your shoulder, man, and be that king. Represent
Yeah.
your God to the fullest. So that's
Yeah.
how I feel.
I'm stuck in my brain, and I'm gonna let you go. But you've given me like 10,000 reasons to have a whole new revelation about the sponge. Like I'm thinking about the sponge being soaked up because, like, even whenever you're cleaning something, you don't squeeze out all the water at one time. You have to let
Mm,
it seep out bit by bit, and it
mm.
goes. It's yeah, that part. I absolutely love. I love the song. I love what you're doing. I love what you stand on. But even more, I I hear the preacher behind the music.
Oh boy.
I hear the preacher behind the music. So I understand all these degrees that you have as opposed to ministry, but even outside of ministry, you have a degree in computers.
Computer networking,
See, you
admin.
smart, you brilliant, you always
I'm
gonna
not
have
smart.
money. You always gonna be paid. How important?
No.
Why was it important to have um, other degrees outside of your music?
Um, I think my
I don't know
dad.
why you just sounded like Stevie Wonder whenever you say I think. Anyway, go ahead.
My dad was he's very integral in my life.
Yeah.
Shout out to my dad, Bishop Ori, and he was the one who advised me and encouraged me. Hey man, take up some computers, man. You know the world is going that way. And you know, back in 2003, when I was thinking about it at that time, I was in New Jersey, man. I was living my life. You know, I was around music, and everybody was telling me, hey man, you should go to Full Sail. It was a college called Full Sail.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah, you should go to Full Sail, man, and get a degree on it. And or that's what I was thinking. And the people around me in the studio like, you don't need to go to Full Sail, man. You in the studio. Like you working with the guys that's doing it. Like you're gonna learn more here than there, right? And so my dad was telling me, hey man, you should go to school. Take up computers, take something up because that's where the world is going. So to answer your question, to me it's very important to be diverse, right? This is my thinking only, this is not a mandate, but I feel that a person should know a little bit about a broad range of things, right? That way, for me personally, I feel God is calling me to do that because of who I have to talk to. I may have to talk to different fields, right? So if I'm not astute to picking corn, but I know how to pick tomatoes, then I might damage some corn when I go to pick it. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm not coming in the right language. I'm not coming in the right way. So if I'm going to talk to a business audience, I need to have some business acclimats to be able to talk in that way. I'm still talking kingdom. They don't know it, right? But I'm talking kingdom. I'm sliding the kingdom in there, but I'm doing it in business principles, or I'm doing it in sports principles, or I'm doing it in mechanical principles, so people understand and they can get it. That's how Jesus did. That's why he talked in parables so much. So I think it's very important to get education and have a broad band. I like to read books, and read different books.
I can tell.
The Bible.
I can definitely tell.
So I think it's very important. It makes you more well-rounded. So when you get in different environments, you can flip that hat and put a different one on.
So with the last 5 minutes of this interview, inspire us. Just give us something.
Well, I would say that, take the quote that I said, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And whenever you wake up, that's the morning for you. It doesn't have to be bright and sunny. It could be a rainy night, dark, storming, but it can still be your morning time. So admonish what you have. Look within yourself. Everyone has purpose. It's sad that everyone will not realize their purpose, and then you add to the graveyard. You add to the value of the graveyard. If I could be a miner and I can mine the grave, what would I find in that grave? Books that were never written, paintings that never got painted, songs that never came out. That's you. That's all in you. So don't let the graveyard rob you or rob us of what you're supposed to, deposit in this generation. So be that deposit for this generation.
Man, I absolutely love it. And like as you was pointing, I actually really feel like you was like really just talking to me like a real homeboy conversation.
That's right. I'm talking to you.
I'm dealing with some stuff right now, and that was on time for me, bro. I appreciate you for that, man. How can the audience find out more information about you?
Hey man, you can look me up on my social media platforms. Gabriel Ori on Facebook. On Instagram is at GORI4. Twitter, King G for Christ. You can just type my name in YouTube. You'll find me. Usually just type Gabriel or you'll find me anywhere.
Definitely. Man, we definitely appreciate having you on the show on today, and we look forward to establishing a dope relationship with you so that every time you have something going on, you are right here at the Intro Dallas. And whenever you make your way to Dallas, hey, I have some food I got to introduce you to.
Bruh, you put me on,
I am a foodie, for real. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Tazz, and you are listening to or watching the Intro Dallas podcast. Do me a favor, follow this man on all social media. We will make sure that we have everything listed in the description, but we'll also have a link from our website, www.ilovethespotlight.com. Once again, man, thank you for being a part of today's show, and we look forward to everything that you have going on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, y'all.